Hi guys, I have Matthew Stewart from College Works Painting. I invited him as a CEO that has been in business for a while. I would like to get his perspective on reputation, on brands, on consumer reviews. That's what we're going to be discussing today.
Matt Stewart is the CEO and co founder of College Works Painting, which began as his college internship and evolved into a successful business. Over the years, he has helped launch 10 companies, four still operating today. He is committed to addressing many graduates' common challenge, the gap between education and real world experience.
As you grew out of college student into a CEO leading a large company, you also work to develop your own personal brand. Why is it important to you?
I don't think of it as my personal brand. I think I have strong morals. I think I have strong ethic. I think that myself and the people I work with, strong character. And when a bunch of people come together with strong character, that builds a strong company. So I believe a weak personal brand can take a business for sure, especially if that business is tied to that person with the weak personal brand. I've been exposed to quite a few entrepreneurs. I used to be the global chairman of the Entrepreneurs Organization and spent my time traveling around the world. And what I found was most people in business, most entrepreneurs are lifting people up. Most of them aren't chasing the money. They want to do the right thing. They want to do right by their customers. And the rising tide floats all boats. There are some, and in my experience, it's like 1% that are just out there for themselves. And people figure that out. If you have a weak personal brand, it's hard to hire people. Maybe you hire your first group of people and they're great, and then they leave, and you can even get a second group of people. But eventually, people understand this weak personal brand is not great for my career. So I think a weak personal brand can really take a business. I think a strong personal brand can really strengthen a business. But I believe strong people with strong brands combined together, if you can build that, you end up with a team of people with integrity and the values that people will gravitate to, whether they're customers or employees. And that's how the brand. So I don't think about my personal brand really ever. I think about, do I do the right thing? Do I have the morals? Are we making decisions based on the right thing, not the money thing? And we draw in people like that. So I guess it's tied to my personal brand and it's tied to my personal image, but I'm more looking to build businesses with strong people that do the right thing.
Is it important to you to develop personal brand, your personal brand, alongside your corporate brand?
So if you look at what my personal brand is, it's a brand of helping people, it's a brand of doing the right thing, it's a brand of making decisions based on morals. I also believe in impacting the community. Yeah, I think it's people that have skill sets can loan those skill sets to the community. And so for me, the personal brand thing is more of it's setting an example. So I like to be out there doing things like this, helping people learn from my mistakes. I like to be out there, working in the schools, working in the community, and people can see me doing that to set an example. So my personal brand boosts my business because people that don't like the way I think or what I'm doing or the focuses that we have may not want to work in my business. And we don't want people in our business that aren't out there doing things for people, donating their time, going that extra mile. So I think it generates respect for my team. That they see me doing whatever I'm doing. And I carry myself consistently at home, at work, in the community. And I want to expose people to that. I do work with a lot of younger people. So, I'm trying to help them see what's possible. You start off up here. Do you slip or do you keep going up character wise? I talk about helping the kids get into college, and I talk about helping people get jobs. And we when we do some impact like the ALS Augie's Quest, we spend a lot of time in. We talk about the impact that we had because we're setting the example, and I think it brings in like people and retains like people because I think values are the decision filter that we use, and I want my values in front of the the business all the time. And because, who I am, who my partners are, who our team is, we have people approach us that want to be part of that. People approached us and wanted to go into business with us. I think that's because my partners and I have this, and you could call personal brand, could be personal reputation. It could be, a lot of different things. It doesn't need to be out on podcasts or out on the news. It could be just what people talk about you behind your back. And behind my back, I think people say nice things about me, and then they want to be part of that maybe. So I think we're drawing in great people, and that could be customers too, customers, vendors, partners, employees, because of the personal brands that we have in our business.
I 100% personally agree that your personal character, and I understand why you felt that personal brand is a personal character as you started to respond to the question originally. You have to be honest with yourself, you have to be honest with others, and how you are perceived by others will certainly translate to your brand and to the business that you run. And
Right.
the people that will be attracted to you will be attracted to you because who you are. And that could bring additional businesses to you.
Yeah.
So 100% on board with that. Yes, you want to add something, Matthew?
I was going to say, sometimes I think when I'm making a decision, I think, what would Nicole do? And Nicole's a friend of mine that has a great personal brand. I understand her values. And I think, what would Nicole do? I would want people thinking, what would Matt do? And I think that personal brand impacts that.
Great answer. Thank you. So let's talk about feedback, customer feedback. What's your view on College Works Painting corporate feedback, what you get from consumers? What do you do about it? What do you know about it? What can you share?
Feedback from customers has changed, as we've talked about before. You're in a restaurant, you're eating food, and you're not having a great time. And the manager comes by and says, "How's your meal?" I always just say great, because I don't want to get into an argument. I'm having dinner with my family. I don't want to create a negativity. I just say it's great. And the manager moves along thinking everything's great. I don't know why in these circumstances, people and myself included, don't go, yeah, the food was cold or it was late. Just don't want to do that. And I think that that happens a lot in business, where people will tell the frontline person everything's okay, but it's not okay. And so the feedback loop in the past, before the internet, before these different ways of gathering information popped up, we were maybe not aware of what was going on in the field. So the feedback loops changed a lot in the last 10 years. So we're sending out net promoter score measurements to our customers now. And we didn't have a means to do that before there was email and these different survey sites. So surveying customers more, because we can't trust the feedback we're getting from our team, because maybe the feedback's changing between the customer and the CEO. We may not be getting the feedback because the customer just doesn't feel comfortable, like arguing or consulting for free with one of our employees. Uh, and so now we have many ways of measuring how our customers are doing. And so in our company, we send out the survey at the end of the job, or we send out a survey in the middle of the sales process. We have people that swing by, quality control people. How's the job going? And we have safety control people in the construction industry. You need safety, and the safety people are looking for quality, and that's a second way. But even though maybe they didn't answer the survey, maybe they weren't there the day the quality people came by, it's information. We live in the information age. So the final way, which oftentimes is reactive, is a review. And the reviews we have different divisions in different companies. So I can have one division that does great and gets all these great feedback in every measurement, and another that doesn't. So these multiple ways of measuring the customer satisfaction enables us to have multiple methods of gauging how we're doing. And so it's just giving us an extra feedback loop to improve our training, to improve our hiring process, to improve our measurement, to change what we're measuring. Like, we didn't used to measure net promoter score years ago. Now we do, and I think most companies do now, to make these changes so it just can ratchet up the customer experience. And again, I don't think my employees want to do a bad job. They want to know how to do a good job. I most of the time they do a good job, but we have an opportunity to study what went wrong. And before maybe we never even knew. Now we have multiple ways of finding out if we're doing what we think we're doing, if we're as solid as we think we are, if we're as good of a company as we think we are.
Absolutely. Measuring and adjusting, measuring your process, measuring your reviews, measuring consumer satisfaction will certainly should drive changes to your business processes. So that brings me to the next questions. Was there ever a feedback? So you've already mentioned that most of the businesses that you got involved with came from business partners that came to you and said, "Hey, why don't we get involved in another business?" Was there a case when a customer showed you a way to an expansion of your business? Have you ever had an instance in your life when a customer said, "Hey, why don't you do this?" and it brought you additional revenue when you started doing it?
We've had many cases where we've had that happen and we've really lost a lot of money and gone the wrong way. So, for example, College Works paints houses, and we have a lot of customers that need wood replacement. And so we went in the wood replacement route and it didn't work out because it just didn't fit in our model. And so we were using other workers. We were subcontracting our workforce and we didn't have the control. And I don't think we did a very good job with it. So we stopped doing it. So we've had that occurrence. We've had definitely we've had customers that have had needs that we weren't fulfilling that we decided we could fulfill in another one of our businesses, which is called Home Genius. It was a roofing company. And then a lot of customers, when you get your roof fixed, there's some siding damage. So we added in siding. And then when you're doing the siding, sometimes there's window issues. So we added in windows. And now it's roofing, siding, windows, doors, gutters, because customers want to have a one stop shop. So we've had that. Our customers at College Works are actually, we have two sets of customers. We have the people that get their houses painted as one set of customers. We have a whole nother set of customers, which are the people that are working in that business to develop their resume. So I look at the students that are working for us as customers. And so they come to us all the time with, Ken, that's where we get these new businesses from. I want to do something different. So I look at them as customers. So I think every business that we started came from a customer.
Your business has been in existence for how many years?
32.
So in 32 years, you probably went through three generations of students coming out of colleges.
The best generation, by the way, Michael, is ours. Ours is the best generation. But yes,
Best generation. Well, that's a big statement,
yes.
but tell me what you think about the last three generations.
Yeah, so I've been through, started off with Gen X, which is what I am. We had millennials. Now we're on to Gen Z, and we're about to get the next generation. And I don't even think they've named the next generation. The generations are very different. The way they look at things, we lost the millennials stopped focusing on expert opinion, and you see that in the news now. It used to be double verify your sources, and we had these expert newscasters, and there was only three or four of them, and we would get our information from experts and people that were experts on a subject, a science subject, whatever it was, would be put on a pedestal, and people would spend a lot of time paying attention to what their analysis was. When it shifted to the millennials, when we had social media, we moved from this expert focus to more of a peer focus. And so the experts and the awards and the trophies don't really matter as much to them. And I'm generalizing, but to the general group of millennials and Gen Xers, they're more interested in friends' opinions and other opinions. And there's much more power in that now. So that's a big change. There was a dip in um, willingness to get there the old way. And so my son, I always think my son kind of figures a way around things. And I'm just a hard worker. And so my plan was work hard, do my best. My son, I thought wasn't working hard and was looking to, kind of find shortcuts. And I think
Love it.
the Gen Zers find shortcuts to things. And once I realized that my son and the Gen Zers, they're not lazy, they're looking for ways to be more efficient, and we unleash that. So our analytical tools are bots, not spreadsheets. So I think the millennials were starting off with this new technology and how to use the technology. Maybe they use it right in some cases and not very well in others. The Gen Zers watch the millennials and they've perfected the use of these, or they're working on perfecting using these efficient tools.
My question is around reputation management and
Mhm.
company reputation. People express their opinions through platforms like mine, like PissedConsumer, where
Mhm.
consumers write reviews. Because of our name, they mostly get negative reviews.
And
So my question is, would the next generation just trust the reviews that machine reads, or would the next generation verify? What is the next generation going to do with reviews? Is it important?
I think it's more and more important. I think that the millennials started it and they were worried about what the community feels, not what the expert feels. And they
Mhm.
still have these expert endorsements and they still have influencers, which is interesting. But the influencers may not be experts, and the endorsements may not be experts. I think that this generation has learned to filter, and so maybe the trust but verify is quantity. And so if a company has 4 great reviews, I think they're suspicious because they only have 4 reviews. They have 4 reviews, they're all great. If they have 400 reviews, they're less specific. So maybe not trusting one opinion, but looking at the average or the conglomerate of the opinions. I think that there's ability to trust and verify just on your site. And our reputation on your site, when we weren't paying attention to it and we were just not concerned, we know we're great. But actually it was an insight into us not being as great as we thought we were. We weren't getting the information, we weren't even looking it up on your site. Oh, don't worry about that, we're cool. But what we found was, you get enough people that don't think you're cool, other people realize you're not cool. I think that the Gen Z are good at quick analysis because they've been trained through Instagram and TikTok, and they've dealt with it through their high school. What really matters. I think they're good at filtering that out.
Do you have an advice to for leaders who are just starting out and they want to start a new business? What would you advise to new leaders today?
It's going to cost twice as much as you think. It'll take twice as long as you think if you're lucky. So that's an old one, but it's absolutely true. Usually it's 4 times as much. Begin with the end in mind. What are you going to do with this? Where's it going to go? Test your model. So you have a model before you go off and dump a bunch of money into it. See if it works. And I think that part of beginning with the end in mind is looking at the systems that you're using, systems for customer service. If you were talking about personal brand before and how that can tank a company if you have a bad personal brand, well, your corporate brand, if you start off poorly, it's going to be a lot harder than if you start off well. So implementing net promoter score survey, reading up on PissedConsumer and seeing the mistakes that your competitors made is a great idea I got yesterday. Uh, Studying what works and what doesn't work with other organizations similar. And oftentimes people think they came up with an absolutely unique idea. And these days, there are a lot of unique ideas. Things are changing. So you can look at something that might be a similar idea or the last unique idea, study what mistakes people made. It's more than just a spreadsheet now. It used to be a spreadsheet, do your numbers, go off and sell it. Now there's more involved, with hiring the right people, with retaining the right people. And lastly, I don't think enough companies focus on training. I've been to a lot of speakers, been to a lot of business seminars, and they say, "Yeah, are you doing your one-on-one meetings?" And It's unique that people have weekly one-on-one meetings with their team. Unique that they would have ongoing training frequently. Unique that they would bring in outside trainers. We as business leaders only know so much. So if we can expose our team to outside people with different brains, our team will uh, rise up. So I think training is undervalued. Maybe that might be something more unique than the cliches that I said in the beginning.
Add one more thing. Yes, business will cost four times more than you anticipated, and don't forget, 97% of businesses will fail. So
Yeah.
that's also an important statistic
Yeah.
to keep in mind.
Yeah, model it out really well before you start. And I already mentioned we had 6 fail, and one of them failed in such a big way, I had to sell everything I had for sale sign in front of the house. Like, it was a life-changing failure. And I wish I'll say this one too. I wish I had stuck to my line in the sand. We said if we got to this place, we would stop, and then we moved the line, and then we moved the line. I wish we would have stuck to um, our original unplug line, and we didn't. And so we just kept doubling down and losing. And I think that there's in entrepreneurs, there's what I call the inner marketer. It's the thing that gets us going. So we can do anything. We can get past anything. Well, the inner marketer can blind you to things aren't going right. So you need it. If you don't have the inner marketer, if you don't have that thing that says you got your butt kicked today, you'll do fine tomorrow, you're not going to do well as an entrepreneur. But sometimes, and in my case, it's spun out of control. And like, wait, I need to filter that a little bit and make sure I'm paying attention to the reality, not just how confident I am inside. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Great
And
chat.
thank you for talking to me yesterday. We're checking out our competitors.
So it was a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Check it out. Okay, have a good one.